Welcome to Live to Lead with compliments from Bishop Ending Klapo, the founder and the visionary of God Never Fails Revival Church. And we are broadcasting from our Johannesburg studios of GNF Television. And some of you watching us through Facebook live streaming, as well as our GNF YouTube. We want to welcome you from wherever you are. It's an exciting time that we have every Thursday at 3 o'clock to do nothing but to inspire one another, encourage one another, enlighten and enable one another to live lives of influence and impact, because we are fully persuaded that as long as you are alive, you have been given a chance for you to impact and influence your society, to influence your generation. And today we are going to be looking at how to lead in crisis, leading in a time of crisis, how to lead in a time of crisis. And we have entitled this session, Wisdom for Leading in Crisis. It's going to be in 3 parts. Part 1 will deal with crisis management, and then part 2 will deal with how to survive a crisis, and then part 3 will deal with how to thrive in a new normal. And we have a common verse for all the segments that we are going to be dealing with, and that is in the book of 2 Chronicles chapter 2, or rather chapter 1 verse 10 in the New King James Version. 2 Chronicles chapter 1 verse 10 from the New King James Version, it reads, "Now give me wisdom and knowledge, that I may go out and come in before these people. For who can judge this great people of yours?" This is King Solomon when he was given a task to lead the nation of Israel. And he was asked to ask for whatever he needed to equip him to be able to lead the nation of Israel. Now, King Solomon, interestingly, decided to ask for something that most people would perhaps not ask for. He did not ask for cars. He did not ask for resources. He didn't ask for a triple-story office block. He didn't ask for a parliamentary precinct. He didn't ask for soldiers. He didn't ask for all these other things, which many of us perhaps would have asked for. But instead, he asked for wisdom and knowledge. So let's read that verse again, because it is very interesting how King Solomon, having been given the chance to lead and also given the opportunity to ask for something, he says, now, talking to God, King Solomon speaking, now give me wisdom and knowledge. Give me wisdom and knowledge. Why? So that I may go out and come in before these people. And he asked the question, for who can judge this great people of yours? Who can judge this great people of yours? Now, this verse demonstrates that for us to be able to lead in any situation, we need wisdom and knowledge, because we are leading God's people. Even if you are running a corporation, even if you are running an NGO, if you are running any kind of a company that has got 5 people, 10 people, 10,000 people, 1,000,000 people that you are leading, you need to understand that you are leading creatures that belong to a creator, and the creator knows his creatures better than you do. These people come to you. Some of them are depressed. Some of them are anxious. Some of them have been abused. Some of them are going through all kinds of challenges that you will never know. But we know that God is able to search the hearts and the minds of people. He understands the intentions and the motives of people. You know very little, if at all, about the people you are leading. King Solomon said, who can judge these people of yours? I know it sounds like an arrogant question, but it's a very illuminating question. It's a revealing question, reminding us that the people that we are leading actually belong to God. Who can judge these people? Who can lead these people of yours, O God? And because they are yours and you know them better, then you better give me wisdom and knowledge to be able to judge them, to be able to lead them. And we know that because of that, King Solomon actually did a tremendous job of leading the people of Israel very well, even to economic prosperity. And we know that during the time of King Solomon, there was not even a single bloodshed, as opposed to what was happening during his daddy, King David, where there was lots of bloodshed. But during King Solomon's reign, no blood was shed. But secondly, it became the richest nation during that time. And of course, having not asked for money, not asked for rubies and silver and gold, guess what? When God gave him wisdom and knowledge, automatically all these other things came. In fact, we know that wisdom tends to attract rubies, it attracts silver and gold and platinum and wealth because of the wisdom. So it is such an important thing that we need to understand the importance of wisdom. And that is why we are talking about wisdom in wisdom for leading in crisis. Wisdom for leading in crisis. Even if there is no crisis, for you to be able to lead, just by leading people whom you have not created, guess what? You need wisdom. But what more then is wisdom necessary when we are leading in crisis? And of course, we are talking today in the context of what the world is going through. We are right now, if you are leading anything, even if it's a team, even if it's an organization, even if it's a nation or a family, you are leading during a time of crisis and you need wisdom. Now, in this part one of wisdom for leading in crisis, we are looking at crisis management. We are looking at crisis management. It's more an introductory session that we're dealing with crisis management, because we know that we are actually in a crisis right now, even as we speak. And we are going to refer to King Solomon now in the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 14. Now you will see that he asked for wisdom in 2 Chronicles 1, verse 10, when he was asked to ask for anything that he deemed necessary for him to lead. He asked for wisdom. Now, let us see how he demonstrates wisdom already. In Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 14, it says, "In the day of prosperity, be joyful, but in the day of adversity, consider. Surely God has appointed the one as well as the other." Watch what the scripture says. In the day of prosperity, be joyful, but in the day of adversity, consider. What are you considering? Surely God has appointed the one as well as the other. So I want us to discuss the three insights here with regards to the scripture. King Solomon says, in the day of prosperity, celebrate, be happy, be joyful. But in the day of crisis, in the day of adversity, consider. And what are you considering? The consideration here is that both come from God. Both have been appointed by God. So what is the first insight that you need to understand when you are leading in crisis and as part of crisis management? Number one, life is cyclical. Life is cyclical. In other words, life is not happening in a linear fashion. There are high seasons and low seasons. There is night and day. There is winter and summer. There is cold and heat. In fact, the Bible says, as long as the earth remains, there shall be seed time and harvest time. There shall be winter and there shall be summer. There shall be day and there shall be night. There shall be cold and there shall be heat. Life is cyclical. Now, what that means is it's not a straight line, but it is cyclical. Whatever has come shall come again. If you are in a winter season, you will experience summer, but winter shall come again, and winter and summer shall come again. If you have seen the night, you shall see day, and day shall come again, and night shall come again, because it is cyclical. But then these cycles and rhythms are rhythms and cycles of highs and lows, highs and lows, highs and lows. There are high seasons and there are low seasons. There are high seasons and there are low seasons. Now, when you are a leader of anything, you need to have this insight that life is cyclical. There will be high seasons and there will be low seasons. You just need to understand that. This will help you so that life does not take you by surprise. Now, you may not know exactly when the low will come and when the high will come, but you must know that there shall be highs and there shall be lows. There will be high seasons and there shall be low seasons. There will be darkness and there will be light. There will be night and there will be day. There will be heat and there will be cold. There will be summer and there will be winter. As long as the earth remains, there shall be seed time and harvest time. I don't know what you are going through right now, but I know that as a world, we are going through a crisis. It is a low season. And I am saying you need to know how to manage crisis. A part of managing crisis is to have these three insights. And the first insight, understanding that there will be always high seasons and low seasons. The second insight, which we also find in the verse that we've just read, is that the highs are for celebration and the lows are for consideration. This is very important. The highs are for celebration. The lows are for consideration. In other words, whenever there's a high season, meaning that there is a day of prosperity, King Solomon, a wise man, says, celebrate. Yes, you need to celebrate when during good times. But when the bad times come, like now, you need to consider. This is a very crucial thing. We are instructed and advised and counseled here that when it is good time, celebrate. It is a time for celebration. In good time, celebrate. Be joyful. But when the winter season of your life comes, when the night season of your life comes, when the dark hour of your life comes, watch this. He doesn't say cry. Even though we understand that the crisis can cause us to cry. but we don't spend all the time during the crisis time crying. Even though the dark hour can cause so much pain, and indeed you cry, and perhaps you must cry because it's okay to cry, and of course there is a time to cry, but you don't spend the entire dark hour crying. What do you do during your dark times? What do you do during your night season? What do you do during your low season? King Solomon says, consider. It is time for consideration. And what are you considering? You consider the fact that surely, not perhaps, surely, both seasons have been appointed by God. Surely, both seasons have been appointed by God. Now, that is a contemplation, that is a consideration. You think about that. And I'm sure in your thinking about that, in your consideration about that, considering during this difficult time that both good times and difficult times are appointed by God, in your consideration, in your contemplation, in your careful thinking, you may have to be saying, what lessons can I learn from this difficult time? Has this difficult time come to teach me something? Has this flood brought some gold to my doorstep? Has this thing that has caused me to fall brought me closer to something that I must pick up? Because when you fall, you must pick something up. Whenever you fall, pick something up. Is there anything good in this darkness? Does this darkness come with something good? Did you know that people dream better in the dark? Maybe there's a dream that needs to emerge during the time of darkness. Does this winter season, as harsh as it may be, does it bring something good for me? You know, during winter, people hibernate. It's time of isolation. It's time of hiding. Even snakes, they hibernate. And when they emerge later on, they've got a new skin. Maybe you need to take cover and recover during this winter season of your life. We are talking about managing the crisis. And a crisis, it's an event that you don't have control over. But the good news is you have control over your mind. You have control over how you respond and how you handle the crisis. So insight number one, life is cyclical. There are high seasons and low seasons. Insight number two, the highs are for celebration, whilst the lows are for consideration. And the last insight that I want us to take from this is that God is in charge. You are nothing but a steward. God is in charge. King Solomon says, "For who can judge these great people of yours?" King Solomon was aware that these are the people of God. Who can judge these people of yours, O God? They are yours. So therefore, give me wisdom. You search their hearts. You search their minds. You know their past. You know their future. You know their need. You know their thinking. You know their motives. You know whatever hidden agendas they have. After all, you created them. You made them. And you gave them to me to lead them. Who can judge them? And you asked me to judge them. Give me some wisdom. So what is important here is that God is in charge. He's not only in charge of the people that he created, but he's also in charge of the seasons. For you need to consider that surely God has appointed one after the other. When the winter season comes, God has appointed it. When the summer season comes, God has appointed it. He is the author and the finisher of our seasons. So he is in charge. And you are a steward. This is very important. He is in charge and you are a steward. What is important here is that you are managing people on behalf of God. Even that big company that you yourself have started with your own money, with your own energy, with your sweat capital, etc., guess what? It belongs to God. You are just a steward. It belongs to God. You are running it on behalf of God. He is in charge. And this is good news. Why is it good news? Because he is a source of all you need. Not only the source of wisdom, the source of knowledge, but he's also the source of all other resources that you are looking for you to be able to run your organization, to lead your entity, to lead your family, to lead your nation. He is the source. He is in charge. He is the Alpha and the Omega. He has declared the end even at the beginning of this company. He knows the tomorrow. He knows when winter will come again. We're going through this COVID-19 pandemic right now. He knows when another pandemic will come. Even when this one will be over, he also knows when the other one will come. He knows the hour, he knows the day, he knows the month, he knows the week, he knows even the year. We could not predict that it would be happening at the end of 2019, and it is continuing with us now, right even to the second half of 2020. We had had the Spanish flu 100 years ago. We don't know when another flu or another pandemic will come. Whether a biological pandemic, whether an economic pandemic, a health pandemic, or whatever it is. But God knows he is in charge. Even during this hectic time, you must know that God is in charge. He is in the boat with you. You may be sailing in a stormy weather, but he is in the boat with you. So be encouraged, therefore. There's a lot we can talk about when it comes to managing crisis. A lot of things that we can do, and we'll learn a little bit about this in part 2 when we talk about how to survive a crisis. How to survive a crisis. Part 2 of this discussion, wisdom for leading in crisis, has got part 1, which is crisis management, and part 2 that we'll be dealing with next Thursday will deal with how to survive a crisis. And then part 3 that we'll deal with in the other week will be focusing on how to then thrive in the new normal. And keep watching and learn more. But we want to wish you well in your business. Even during this time, you must know that you are not alone. God is with you. You are able to manage this. And don't be surprised by crisis. Yes, I know we are human beings. They take us by surprise. But I pray that from now on, you will always be ready for what you don't like. You must be ready for winter even if you don't like it. Be ready for the dark even if you don't like it. Be ready for the night even if you don't like it. But you see, if we are ready for these things, then you can take advantage of them. At night you can dream. In the dark you can dream. In the winter you can hibernate so that you emerge with a new skin, with new hope, with new energy, with new strength. In the summer, it may not necessarily be a crisis, but summer can also become crisis. A harvest time can become a crisis if it is not well managed. You also need wisdom to even manage during the joyful times. You need to be more strategic during a harvest time. You need to work with people. You need to work as a team. Because remember, during the winter time or during the seed time, you can plant a seed alone because it's a small job to do. But when it comes to harvest time, all of a sudden you need a lot of people to work with. You need wisdom for you to be able to manage relationships all of a sudden. So even though harvest time should be a time of celebration, but you also need wisdom even to lead during the time that you may not regard as a crisis time. Because if you are not doing a good job during the very time that is not regarded as crisis, all of a sudden it becomes a crisis to you. So we need wisdom. Whether in crisis or not, we need wisdom. But for the now, we're talking about wisdom for leading in crisis. Thank you for watching. Please do get other people to watch this with us from time to time. You can create a watch club or a watch party for you to learn together with your people. We need your support. We need your support in prayer. We need your support in letting other people know about this program so that they can like our YouTube channel, they can like our Facebook page, they can watch GNF TV. It's important for us. But of course, if you have some excess money, we will appreciate your support for the television ministry to stay on air. It requires us to continually pay for the license, so your support will help us, and there are details on the screen that you can use for you to support us. Until next time, God bless you.
Madoda!